At the beginning of the story, we see a girl walking on a deserted road in heavy rain at night. After this, a boy who was fixing things at his shop. He sees a customer who came to his shop. He was an old man. He tries to talk to him and meanwhile, lights begin to turn on and off. Because of this reason, he becomes quite afraid. The name of this boy is Hodu. Suddenly the girl comes behind him that was walking on the road. He becomes afraid of her. Actually, she was his older friend. Here she was making fun just to make Hodu scared. And I've failed in all of the interviews. I have no money. And his friend has come to take money from him that she has given to Hodu before some time. After this, her friend gets very angry with him, and she shouts at him loudly that she faints. He brings his friend home with him, and when she wakes up in the morning, she is very much surprised to see his house and thinks how can he get such a good house? That's too in such a small amount. After that, when she goes to the kitchen, she sees the shadow of something, and when she checks it, she learns that it was the neighbor of Hodu, who always kept an eye on his house. That neighbor was thinking of them as his couple, but he tells that this is my friend and has come to stay here only for a few days. His friend, named Yeji, still doesn't understand how he's got such a beautiful house for such a small amount of money. He tells that the owner of the house is absolutely insane. So, I trapped him in my words and took him or the house. The reality is that he begged his master a lot to get this house, but was speaking like this to impress his friend. For this reason, he was speaking a lie. Yeji doesn't say anything and goes to speak. All of a sudden her foot comes on a toy and she rebukes him a lot that you still play with the toys. He says no it isn't mine, and later, Yeji goes to Hodu's bed and lays down there. She tells him that my money has also been consumed on the rent, so you'll share everything from your house with me. He doesn't say anything to her after listening to this all and goes to the sofa to sleep. Later, after being shocked a lot, he wakes up. He sees a spirit of a girl in front to him and he becomes quite afraid. As a result, he screams and realizes it was just a dream. In the morning, Yeji also scares him. The poor Hodu becomes quite afraid. We can learn from this that he is a coward. After some time, while he was taking bath, the light of his bathroom was turned on and off. He doesn't feel anything normal in his new house. Yeji also comes with him and he asks her, when will you return to her home? She says that I've come by taking some money that I've consumed. Nor do I have any job or any residence, and I can't return my home empty-handed. Meanwhile, at Hodu's shop, his neighbor comes to take the luggage. While he was returning, Yeji notices him quite strange. She tells Hodu, I feel your neighbor quite strange. After hearing this, he says, leave it, what we've to do with him. At night, while they were returning home, Yeji notices someone standing at their window. They feel that a thief has come to their house. That's why they enter their house carefully. She throws him down in anger and they find nothing at home after finding. At night, while dining, Hodu feels something smelly. While checking, they see this smell comes from their bedsheet. When they notice it carefully, it was moving. Yeji becomes quite afraid and hits her knife on the bedsheet. They immediately runs to their neighbor's house, who lived there and kept his eye on them. Yeji asks this neighbor, do you know why everything is quite strange in this house? He says, yes, I know, a girl who used to live there and she kept an eye upon me. At the same time, she kept doing some strange things. When I used to study at night, I used to hear very strange noises. And one night that girl killed herself. I was very sorry later. If I would have told the police first, then it probably would not have happened to her. After hearing to that neighbor, they become more sacred. After this, Yeji tells Hodu to call the house owner. We'll demand our money from him and we'll leave this house. Yeji tells him that you've kept this hidden, that a girl has killed herself in your house. But when the owner shows them the contract paper, everything was written on it. It was clear Hodu had not read the agreement in haste, in greed of the money. Yeji rebukes him a lot. Later they dare to go back to her house. After going there, they call the spirit of that girl. They become quite afraid and run out. As a result, they come to Hodu's shop to spend the night. After sitting there, they plan to give their house to someone on rent. The next day, a couple comes to see their house. They show this home to many people, but the soul of that girl drives all these people away. As a result, their plan fails. Now, these people search the magician on the internet, who can capture the soul, but their fee was very high. And they didn't even have money. So, they think that why don't we do magic ourselves to drive that soul out of the house. They begin to find these things on the internet and they finally find this way. That was easy and affordable. They come to know, spreading the salt everywhere in the house and throwing seeds in the house will send the soul out. They do this, but this plan also fails. The soul begins to throw the seeds on them they've spread. They become quite afraid. They again return to Hodu's shop to spend the night. Later, Yeji begins to search for affordable magicians on the internet. She finds a boy. They call him to their home as the boy looks at the spirit's face, who was staring at him secretly. After being afraid completely, he runs from there. Meanwhile, we learn this was a fake magician. They ask for their money from him, but he tells them that I've used all the money to come there. I don't have any money and I'm quite hungry. Hearing this, he brings him to the home and feeds him with the food. Later, he reveals his identity to Hodu. He tells him, "My whole family is magicians who capture the spirits. I didn't want to do this, rather I was fond to be a singer and dancer. My family members used to do this, so I had to become like them. And I had to do this." Meanwhile, the ghost of that spirit comes into the body of Yeji. She attacks Hodu and the magician boy. Meanwhile, the police van was passing from there. After hearing their sound, they take 3 of them with them. In the morning, Yeji wakes up normally. The police officer tells them there was a different reason for the death of this girl. A mask-wearing man often kept an eye on her. That man has secretly fixed cameras at the girl's house. When the girl came to know about this, she nervously took her life. We only have his mask-wearing video, so we couldn't capture him till today. After hearing this, they understand everything. She wants her justice, and Yeji tries to find that video. Later, the girl's spirit throws that toy from under the bed. That often comes under Yeji's feet and she threw it. Actually, a secret camera was attached to this toy. That girl has fixed it to save herself, and the girl learns about her neighbor. Because of the mask-wearing man she'd seen in the video, who kept eye on her, the neighbor has applied the same mask with his mobile cover. We learn whatever the Hodu's neighbor has told them was a lie. He himself used to harass that girl. Later, after rushing to her house, she was about to call the police. Meanwhile, the neighbor came there and he killed her. Everything has been recorded in that toy, in which the camera was attached. Later, the neighbor settled everything in a way. As the girl killed herself, later, Yeji, after watching the video, says, "How anyone can do this with a girl?" After watching this, the magician boy calls the police. 3 of them begin to wait for the police outside their house. On the other side, the spirit of the girl was scaring the neighbor. As a result, he runs and 3 of them also see him running and chase him, but that neighbor boy hides there. As the magician boy sees him, he attacks him with the knife. He tells her, "When I put her videos on the internet, people used to like her, and I did this all for my own entertainment." Meanwhile, Yeji comes and after seeing her friend injured, she beats him a lot. Later, the magician boy sees he was being beaten by the girl's spirit, who was inside Yeji. Meanwhile, the police arrive and take the neighbor with them. While going, the neighbor sees the spirit of the girl standing behind Yeji. The next day, Yeji arranges a funeral for that girl along with her friends, so she gets comfort and can return to her world. In the end, we see the magician boy begins to live with Yeji and Hodu in their house. Yeji gives them an idea. "Why don't we start the work of catching the ghosts and driving them away? So, our financial problems will be dissolved." Meanwhile, their lights begin to turn on and off. A man was sitting in front of them. He was the same man whom we saw in Hodu's shop at the start. Actually, it was also a spirit who came to bring his problem. Well, 3 of them help him, and the film ends with this.